If I told you Arcaladon Rain plus Mouse Hold would win the first ever regional qualifiers, you'd call me a truther. You'd say I wouldn't be lying, because they did. They really did. They really did. Arcaladon Rain plus Mouse Hold just absolutely dominated the competition, just proving that everyone was basically right, that Arcaladon was just the mon to watch for in Regulation H, and this just by far proved it. But we're going to look through the top cut here and just kind of see exactly what teams we're going for, exactly who's kind of running the format right now, what's kind of like the team to look out for here. So obviously going by the first place here, we have Nicholas Morales. He played fantastic. It was his first ever tournament. He did amazingly well, by the way. The finals match was so great. His team consisted of a very, very good spread team. It was obviously Arcaladon plus Pelipper, the obvious Rain choice team to go for here. It is the most dominant threat. Rain is by far the best weather that we can get right now in Regulation H. It's the best weather period in Scarlet Violet. It's just fantastic. It's awesome. It's great. Of course, Assault Vest Arcaladon, the main mon that you see here. Again, Electro Shot, Dragon Pulse, Flash Cannon, Body Press. Pretty much your copy paste moves that you see here. A lot of people kind of balance between Draco or Dragon Pulse. Dragon Pulse has more accuracy but does less damage. Draco does more damage but it's less accurate, and you get like the -2 on your special attack. So a lot of people are kind of more shifting towards Dragon Pulse. That way you kind of get that consistency. That way if you pair it with Pelipper Rain, you get that whole special attack boost, and then with Dragon Pulse you basically get Draco meteor damage anyway without having any of the drawbacks like less accuracy or the -2. So it's a fantastic spread. It's an amazing spread. It's really, really good. Terra Ghost Pelipper, again, to stop things like, I'm assuming, Fake Out primarily, which is, again, a really good tech to have for a Terra type. Ghost is pretty much there to stop any form of Fake Outs there, and especially since that's a Focus Sash, you kind of want Pelipper there to kind of stay firm for at least 2 turns there. So if you go into the mirror matchup, it can at least take 1 Electro Shot, so it's just a little bit easier to kind of take hold of there. Basculegion, again, nice late game sweeper. Swift Swim with Mystic Water, Terror type water is great. Last Respects already does like a crap ton of damage if it's the last mon in the field anyway, but with the Mystic Water it kind of helps as an early game mon as well. That way you've got huge damage on Wave Crash, you've got huge damage on Aqua Jet, and a lot of people used to run Choice Band on Basculegion. I think it's like the second most, or if anything it's still the first most used item on Basculegion, which does make sense. It works very well, but not a lot of people kind of use the 4th slot for Basculegion for choice, so you're kind of using just 3 moves basically. Wave Crash, Aqua Jet, and Last Respect is basically the move that you go for anyway. The 4th move is kind of just like a whatever move, right? So you might as well use it for a protect. You might as well buff up your water moves. Last Respect already does a ton of damage if it's the last one in the game, so you might as well just keep the water damage going, keep it as an early game Pokemon if you really wanted to, and then have Mystic Water, and you have Protect on the sideline to keep yourself safe, which again is super amazing. Like going into the mirror match, you want ways to keep yourself protected. That's why Pelipper has Focus Sash. That's why Basculegion now has Protect. It's just great. Also, the main 2 mons here, Amoonguss, Incineroar, the main tech mons that you want to have here. Amoonguss is just really, really good for redirecting with Rage Powder. It forces mons to go into a Terra Grass if they have it, because you avoid things like Spore, you avoid things like Rage Powder, Pollen Puff, and Clear Smog as well. Clear Smog is more to get rid of things like Dondozo, because a few people want to try and still run Dondozo, because a lot of people have figured out the metagame by now, so they're not running Dondozo anymore, but there's still enough people there that were just like, well, I'm going to call your bluff and think that if you're not going to use Dondozo, I'm going to use Dondozo, and that way you have no things like Clear Smog or Haze to get rid of Dondozo, so I kind of get like a little clear path there. But Nicholas did keep track of it and kept Clear Smog, and we've got Amoonguss nice and running. Again, very sturdy Pokemon, very, very well. Citrus Berry just keeping himself extra healthy, and Regenerator can always be a problem if you manage to switch out as well. It's a fantastic Amoonguss. Love this Amoonguss. Amoonguss is just super cool. And Incineroar as well, with safety goggles, you avoid things like Rage Powder as well. You avoid things like Spore, because Incineroar can be like a very problematic Pokemon if it lets on the field too long. Terra goes to avoid things like Fake Out again, because you're going to want to go for a Fake Out tie-up, since Incineroar is one of the main Fake Out Pokemon that you are probably going to see in most tournaments. And this is more of an offensive Incineroar. Ever since Regulation G, we've been seeing more of a defensive Incineroar, since Incineroar couldn't really keep up with the speed. It wasn't that fast where it could pair up with other Pokemon, and it wasn't too slow where Trick Room was a necessity for an Incineroar. So it kind of played more defensively throughout Regulation G and the start of Regulation H, but everyone kind of realized that, like, well, with the metagame kind of advancing and improving, Incineroar can kind of go back into that offensive slot. So now we've got Flare Blitz back, Knockoff has always been the thing for Incineroar, and then, of course, Parting Shot. Parting Shot has just always been a great move for Incineroar. It's just so fantastic, because you can always you can get the attack and special attack drop, switch out, come back in, start Intimidate again, and physical attackers will just basically not be able to do anything against Incineroar. Fantastic Pokemon, one of the best Pokemon of all time, insanely good Incineroar. And then finally, my freaking family of MAUS hold. Dude, the game 3 on this finals match was so insane. Seeing MAUS hold do population bomb against the Dragonite and clearing it in one shot is so cool to see. It was such an amazing thing to see. I'm so happy that MAUS hold finally got some recognition, dude. MAUS hold has been amazing. It's been so good. Normally we've seen MAUS hold get paired up with things like Annihilate. It's also seen some play with Archaludon as well, because you can get stamina boosts as well off of beat up. But this MAUS hold says like, no, I'm not beating anybody up. I'm going straight in for the offensive. Population bomb with the wide lens, if anything, you get all 10 hits like hitting. It's a population bomb is a 90% accurate move, and wide lens always buffs your accuracy by 1.1. So you basically get a 99% accurate move that all 10 hits on population bomb is going to land. You go for a you go for a big hit like that. It's just it's destructive. You wouldn't think 10 hits wasn't gonna do that much, but add that with technician, where you get like an extra boost on moves that do under 60 base power, and population bomb I believe does, I want to say 20 or 40. You hit big numbers. You hit really big numbers really high up. Add that with technician, massive numbers. You've got follow me as kind of like a one-off if someone's got Archaludon in a chokehold and you kind of want him to have a little bit of leeway. You've got follow me as just like a one-off for MAUS hold. Taunt as well to stop any things like Trick Room from happening. If you look at the top cut here, you see a lot of Porygon Trick Rooms here with Ursaluna. So it's a lot of Porygons here. So considering that Porygon also runs Eviolite and no things like Mental Herb, it's just a free game for MAUS hold. It's a free game for MAUS hold. Any Trick Room team that's like Indeedee or Porygon, MAUS hold can at least get one of the Trick Room setters down to a T, unless of course there's Mental Herb, which not a lot of Pokemon are running right now. But obviously we're gonna get to that. But of course, by that point, Taunt just already does so much damage. Taunt does so much damage. It does more damage than what you think it does. It is so amazing. Not only it stops things like Trick Room, it stops you from using things like Protect, like Tailwind, and because it's not a prankster Pokemon, you can also hit Dark types as well. So Incineroar can't do things like Parting Shot. It's really good. It is a really nice setup to go for MAUS hold, and then obviously Protect to keep yourself safe as well. But yeah, ever since this tournament, Garchomp and Rocky Helmet stonks are gonna go up. Rough Skin stocks are gonna go up. I swear in the next tournament, we're going to see so much Rocky Helmet. I'm going to call it now. We're going to see so much Rocky Helmet. We're going to see at least one Pokemon in every team have Rocky Helmet. Something like Garchomp with Rough Skin Rocky Helmet. Amoonguss might come back with Rocky Helmet. I'm calling it right now. We're getting Rocky Helmet back. Rocky Helmet stocks are going all the way up. Going so up. It was such a fantastic team to see. And it's nice to see Archaludon finally get in the limelight, since it didn't really get too much of a limelight when Regulation G came out. Since, things like Kyogre didn't really pair too well with it. It's nice to see it pair well with Pelipper as well. So it's cool to see. I'm happy that Archaludon is now like in the limelight here, and definitely the main threat to go with here for VGC right now in Regulation H. It is fantastic. The Archaludon is such a nice addition to Scarlet and Violet, and oh my gosh, this is definitely going to be the mon to look out for here. It's such a badass of a Pokemon. But going to our second place competitor here, Paul Chua. I'm such a fan of Paul Chua. I saw his team this weekend, and I was such a fan. I was such a fan of this team. Multi-scale Dragonite is really cool because a lot of people are going to be expecting the Inner Focus Dragonite if they see it. Flying type, in my opinion, is a very underrated typing right now. A lot of people are going to want to go Terra Grass to avoid things like Amoonguss, especially Amoonguss. And on top of that, you've got things like going into Grass to avoid Rain, avoid Electro Shot on Archaludon as well. So a lot of people are going to favor going into Terra Grass. So in my opinion, Flying is a very underrated move right now. I think Flying type Pokemon would also be on the up. I definitely want to use a team that really consists of a good Flying type Pokemon. It's just that there's not that many good Flying types, which is where Dragonite comes in. You go Terra Flying, you have Terra Blast, you already hit like big numbers. It is really good. You've got E-Speed for priority coverage, and Low Kick as well, just to cover out Archaludon, because Archaludon is a heavy boy. And so you've got a super effective fighting type move that does a ton of damage as well because of how much weight the Pokemon has. It's a fantastic move to have. It's a really good toolkit to have, and multi-scale as well, being able to tank a big amount of damage on if it's on full HP as well. If there's a way to keep Dragonite always consistently on full HP, your multi-scale will always be stacking over and over again. So it's a nice like chain if you get it rolling. But I love Dragonite. Dragonite is one of my favorites in this regulation. I really love Dragonite. I really want to have a team that consists of Dragonite. It's great. Dragonite is amazing. I'm a Dragonite fan. I'm a Paul Chua fan. This is absolutely amazing. Your standard Assault Vest King Gambit, going into Terra Dark as well. A lot of people run Black Glasses, so you've got access to Protect. But since since Kingambit already has low special defense, it's kind of nice to see Assault Vest get put on Kingambit. That way you have like access to an extra move there, because again, a lot of people like to run Black Glasses, and it's always Kotal Cleave and Sucker Punch for the stab going into Terra Dark, like this Kingambit is here. But then most times people would either run Iron Head or Low Kick, one of the two. Most times nowadays on Kingambit you see Low Kick, but with the Assault Vest you can take off that Protect and put in Iron Head, so you get the best of both worlds there. It's really nice. It's a really nice setup to have for Kingambit. I'm also on board for the Assault Vest Kingambit. I think it's a really nice move to give in, and it also competes itself in Trick Room as well, which I think is just absolutely fantastic. And then you have Alolan Ninetales. Normally, I look for Alolan Ninetales, you kind of have Aurora Veil for Ninetales, but this one doesn't have it. It's got Focus Sash, and I think Snow Warning is just there to shut out the rain. You've got Blizzard, you've got Freeze Dry. Freeze Dry is also amazing because it not only hits Pokemon that are weak to Ice, but it also hits Water types for weakness, so things like Pelipper, who would normally be neutral to Ice because the Water type would resist Ice, but the Flying is super effective. Freeze Dry now does a ×4 super effective move on things like Pelipper, which is massive. It is really, really huge, really, really massive, and I'm really happy to see an offensive Ninetales for change. And Encore as well is quite the nice tech here. Since Ninetales is pretty fast, you can get away with an Encore, so if something like Fake Out was to happen, again, because it's not a Prankster Pokemon, you can get away with hitting Dark types with Prankster, i.e. Incineroar, which is, again, really, really cool and really, really awesome to see. Speaking of Incineroar, same thing. Safety Goggles Incineroar is pretty much the way to go here. It's pretty much the same Incineroar that we just saw. Fake Out, Flare Blitz, Knock Off, Parting Shot. We're seeing more of an offensive Incineroar. I'm not going to go too much into that. Same thing with Amoonguss, going into the Terra Water to survive off Fire type moves. Spore, Rage Powder, Polypuff, Clear Smoke is the main kind of toolkit you want to see there. And the Life Orb Garchomp as well, with the Rough Skin, is really, really amazing here. Earthquake, Dragon Claw, Stomping Tantrum, and Protect. All good coverage moves, all really good stuff to go with here. It fits very well for this whole kind of shindig to go on. Earthquake's a very risky move because not a lot of Pokemon here have Protect. I think it's only Ninetales and Dragonite. So again, things like Kingambit, who would normally be weak to ground, might take a bit of damage here. Same with Incineroar. Amoonguss is kind of like in the middle ground here because it's neutral to ground, but still, having that Earthquake as kind of like a one-off hit there is like really nice to see. And if you want like massive spread really quickly, Life Orb Earthquake is definitely the way to go for here. I think Garchomp is like really nice here. I'm definitely going to see more Garchomp since the MAUS hold won this whole thing. But I think definitely Rough Skin Garchomp is going to be the play here. I think it's definitely going to be the one to watch here. But going on to like other teams that I was like really impressed by. Justin Tang's team, I'm always a fan of Justin Tang. I think Justin Tang is an amazing player. He's an amazing... He just sets up so many amazing teams. I really like his team here as well. Eviolite, Electabuzz with Follow Me, Electro Web Helping Hand Protect. Vital Spirit as well, which means you can't get put to sleep. So if you do Follow Me and Amoonguss tries to do Spore, guess what? Electabuzz will never go to sleep, so you can always spam out Follow Me. Forces Electabuzz to kind of always be the main focus here. A lot of people used to run Electabuzz with Static. That way, if you used a physical move and it connected, they would be paralyzed, which was kind of the play a while back, but now it's Vital Spirit because, again, Amoonguss is coming up in the format here. Primarina being the main fairy type here, being, I think, one of the main water types here. Outside of Pelipper, I think if you're looking for offense, besides Tauros, Primarina is your main offensive Pokemon here. Hyper Voice, Moonblast, Haze, and Protect. Terra Poison as well to keep yourself safe from other poison type Pokemon. You're not really hitting this thing with ground type moves too much, so it's kind of nice to see. And Life Orb as well is a nice move to see. You just get big damage straight out of the gate. Normally people would run like Throat Spray to kind of like, you'd use one Hyper Voice, use the Throat Spray, and then you'd just be a +1 beast out on the field. But Justin's kind of like scrapping that and just going straight in for Life Orb and just going for the damage like straight out the gate, which is nice. Choice Spec Salamence, again with Intimidate, is also nice. It's nice to see another Intimidator that's not Incineroar. Terra Fire to avoid yourself from fairy type moves, pretty much standard. Draco, Heat Wave for that Terra Fire boost as well. Air Slash for stab, and Dragon Pulse as well for another bit of stab, which is nice. Black Glasses Kingambit, as we was talking about before. This time it's a pure Swords Dance set with just Kotal Cleave and Sucker Punch. So ideally you go Swords Dance, Terra Dark, and then you just hit massive, massive numbers all the way through. And then the one thing as well is the Focus Sash Sneasler. This is also like quite impressive because the whole thing with Sneasler is that because of things like Unburden, you would use the item and then get a double speed boost. But because Sneasler's already pretty fast as it is, Justin's already gone for Poison Touch, which means if any move was to hit Sneasler, so for example Sneasler was to hit anyone, I can never remember the difference between Poison Touch and Poison Point. I think Poison Touch is where if Sneasler makes contact with a Pokemon, there is a chance that it gets poisoned, even if it's not a poison type move. So things like Diaclaw as well, which gives a plus chance of hitting a status condition, which means you get more of a bonus for poison hitting. You also get things like paralysis or sleep or things like that. but Dire Claw getting an extra chance of going for poison is just massively huge. Close combat and fake out as well as protect to keep yourself safe is just also nice as well. Rillaboom's pretty much standard here. It's a pretty standard team. It's like what you see is what you get type of team. It's really nice. It's really cool. I'm a fan of it. I'm a really big fan of it. It's very nice to see Salamence, you know, out in the front line. It's interesting to see Electabuzz as well. I'm such a fan. I am a fan of it. It's nice to see, like, it was impressive to see this team. It was really nice. You've got Wolf Glick's team. Wolf always gets, like, such the craziest teams. He always gets such the craziest teams, I swear. But this one was also nice. Weirdly enough, I did this. I tried to use the same concept here, like, a while back. Not this team specifically, but the whole concept of Weezing plus Toedscruel. The whole point of this is that Toedscruel's Mycelium Might is that, not a lot of people know Toedscruel, so we're going to run through this. Mycelium Might is that whatever status move you do for Toedscruel, it will always be last in its priority bracket. So even though it's pretty fast, whenever a status move gets used, it will always run last. And the good thing about Toedscruel is that it learns Spore. So its ability kind of works as a nerf, where Mycelium Might, since you're a fast Pokemon, you've got Spore on you, which means you're a faster Spore user than Amoonguss. But because of Mycelium Might, you'll always end up ironically going after Amoonguss. But Weezing with neutralizing gas takes Mycelium Might off, which means now you have a very fast Pokemon that is really sturdy, that can just use Spore a lot faster than what Amoonguss can, which is really good. It is really, really nice to see. Like, I really like that ability there. So the whole point here is that, like, you would have Weezing and Toedscruel up. Toedscruel would just do whatever damage it can, while Weezing with Choice Specs can just go absolutely off and fire off whatever it wants. And everyone would kind of be, like, frantically going, like, oh, who do I get first? Do I go with, like, do I try and go with no items and try and get, you know, Toedscruel first? Or do I try and get the Weezing and get my ability back and try and, you know, stop Toedscruel? Like, which one do I do? It forces you in a panic, which is very nice. You also have Typhlosion here with a Choice Scarf, which means most times it is going to outspeed a lot of Pokemon here. Eruption, Shadow Ball, Sleep Talk if it gets put to sleep through Amoonguss. If Amoonguss goes into Terra Water, like we've been seeing, it will just, you know, pop off Sleep Talk and just immediately go off for damage, which is a really nice tech there. Corviknight, again, I think Corviknight is so underrated. Mirror Armor is so good. So the whole point of Mirror Armor is that if things like Intimidate was to hit Corviknight, or if any stat drops was to hit Corviknight, it bounces back to the one who gave it. So things like Incineroar with Intimidate, instead of getting Corviknight to a -1, it now bounces back and then gives Incineroar that -1. Same thing if they was to use something like Icy Wind. Instead of Corviknight getting -1 speed, the user of Icy Wind now gets -1 speed. It is such a good ability to have. It's such a nice tech there to have. And I'm really happy for Corviknight to get this. It is absolutely huge. It's really, really huge. It's really, really cool to see. I love this. It's great. Again, we're seeing Life Orb Guard Jump again, which is very nice. Pretty much the same moveset that we saw the same moveset that we saw Paul Chewer use. And the Pawmot for a pretty much more offensive Pawmot, because again, most times we saw Pawmot, it was to use Revival Blessing to get other Pokemon back. But I guess because not a lot of Pokemon here need the Revival because they're already kind of frail, like things like Corviknight could get shut down quite easily. Toedscruel with one Ice type move can pretty much just like fall over. Typhlosion again pretty much gets its main thing out of Eruption, so if it comes back on half HP, Eruption isn't really going to do much. And then, you know, things like Garchomp just already uses Life Orb anyway, so you're pretty much going on like a deficit there. So it kind of scrapped Revival Blessing and put in, you know, Fake Out, Protect, Double Shock, and Close Combat. Literally just swapped out everything else just for Protect, which is kind of nice because Pawmot can actually hit a solid amount of damage here. Pawmot can hit a really good amount of damage, and I'm really, like, I'm happy with it. Like, it's nice to see. It's a very nice toolkit to see. It's a very nice thing to see. It's nice to see, you know, the meta changing yet again, and kind of everyone got, like, locked in on what teams were kind of the go-to here. And it's kind of nice seeing everyone kind of, like, rotate it around a little bit, going, like, it's the same Mons, just, like, getting used a little bit differently. I'm really liking that. Speaking of Mons that get used differently, my personal favorite of this whole thing was WAC's team. This Volcarona was so freaking tough. This Volcarona went so hard. This was nuts. So Covert Cloak Volcarona was also like really, really good. Again, a lot of Pokemon here. Volcarona normally uses Leftovers. It's more or less kind of the same moveset here, but it exchanges Protect for Will-O-Wisp to kind of get physical attackers here. And the Grimmsnarl, the boy Grimmsnarl, I swear, Grimmsnarl is so underrated. The screens does so much for you in this metagame. It is nuts. Like, and no one's running Brick Break either. Like, nobody is running Brick Break either. So the fact that you have Grimmsnarl here that can set up screens so nicely and nobody runs Brick Break or any way to shut down screens. Like, at most you have Tauros, but I don't even think we saw that much of Tauros. I think even if you look at the top cut here, I think like there's there was 2 Tauros. There was literally 2 Tauros in the top cut here, and nobody's using a screen breaker. So Grimmsnarl just has free reign to set up screens however it wants. Light Clay as well is just absolutely huge. And if you've got ways to kind of like shut that down, like shut physical attackers down, especially Reflect plus Will-O-Wisp and the Struggle Bug as well in Volcarona, no one's hitting damage. No one on the other team is hitting damage. This was absolutely huge. Having the Choice Specs Gold on the go, again, we're seeing a lot of Choice Specs Gold then go now. Shadow Ball, Trick to swap items around. Power Gem and Make It Rain. Again, pretty much standard toolkit you see. There's always like Shadow Ball, Make It Rain. There's like one tech against mainly Pelipper here. So most times it was Thunderbolt. Now it's like Power Gem. And then Trick as well is like the main thing you see on Choice Spec set. Eviolite, Trick Room with Ursaluna from Porygon 2. Again, pretty much straightforward. You've got, again, Trick Room, Recover to keep yourself healthy, Tri Attack, and Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is just, yeah, again, more so to hit other ghost types. It's pretty nice to see. And then Tri Attack for just stab coverage, which again is just very nice. Ursaluna as well, being the Trick Room guy right now, that's not a Psy Spam, is really nice. And again, we've seen Ursaluna in the past before. Ursaluna is pretty much the same here. But Terra Fairy is kind of interesting here. Kind of shuts down any, what's it called? Any fighting types, and because anything that would hit Fairy, i.e. Poison or Steel, if wants to hurt Ursaluna, guess what? They're both weak to ground, and you have Headlong Rush. So within Trick Room, you just use Headlong Rush and just get rid of any mon that's like really bothering you. Very, very nice toolkit. And then lastly is the Annihilate here. Annihilate's pretty much the standard set as what you see here, but this time with safety goggles. So again, no Spore from Amoonguss. It looks like everyone's kind of trying to shut down Amoonguss here. And apart from that, it's kind of just like looking at your own way to kind of either shut everybody else down or kind of keep you guys up. So it's either going into Terra Grass or again safety goggles, which is nice. So Annihilate here with safety goggles, again, you'd normally see things like Leftovers or even things like I've been personally using a Lumberry on Annihilate because I don't want to get hit with things like Will-O-Wisp or Spore. But safety goggles here is also a really good touch here. And pretty much the same standard Annihilate kit here. Rage Fist, Protect, Bulk Up to make yourself stronger, and Drain Punch to get HP back. Pretty much standard toolkit that you see for Annihilate here. But altogether though, this team was like, the teams were really good. I'm surprised to see the amount of Porygons in this set. Also, we have a Vivillon team as well from Seagull. Dude, this was amazing. Seeing Vivillon was just absolutely nuts to me. It was nice to see this as well. It was insane. But yeah, it was absolutely amazing to see Vivillon. Oh my gosh. But yeah, no, this team, the Pokemon here for this set, for this top cut, was really amazing to see. It was really nice to see like all these cool Pokemon get used. It's really nice to see Pokemon that we, wasn't expecting to see here, like Toadscroll from Wolf, and things like Porygon's back, Flamigo as well with Scrappy was really nice to see. But other Pokemon like Vivillon, seeing Solomon's back, Delphox, Breloom, all these Pokemon here are just like really solid, really good. But you're kind of seeing what the metagame is kind of forming into here. A lot of people are kind of getting the work around Archaludon, but considering that there's not that many Archaludon in the top comp, there's like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4? There's only 4, but Archaludon won. So Archaludon is still a force to be reckoned with here. Even though people know the metagame for Archaludon, he still came out on top. He still really did come out on top. And having Mousehold in the backline as well is just really good. But again, yeah, seeing Incineroar's like basically coming back. Goldengo's here to stay. He's been here to stay. Porygon as well has been pretty good. Primarina's on the up. Rillaboom's just been here to stay. But I would definitely say, because of seeing what Mousehold could do, Rocky Helmet stocks are going to go up. Rocky Helmet stocks are going to go up. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Who was your favorite team seeing this weekend? Who's your favorite team that you saw across the board? Who's been your favorite Pokemon in Regulation H? Let me know in the comments below. And yeah, take care of yourselves, guys, and I will see you, fingers crossed, in the next video. All right, guys, take care. Bye.